left and right of the road. So they would have just lined up on the left and right quietly right here.
When was this, in May?
May 10th.
So it would have been light outside.
May 10th, and they lined up right here. Guys, they lined up right here on both sides. And they silently deployed into a line of battle just inside the wood line to the left and the right of the road. To reach the Confederate line, Upton's men would have to charge across 200 yards of open ground, claw their way through a barrier of fallen trees purposely placed, and overrun a stout earth and log defensive line, all the while exposed to the artillery and infantry fire of the foe. At 5:50 p.m., Upton gave the order to advance. So they all sat here and just waited.
I'm taking a view.
Okay, well, the videos do better. They lined up on both sides of this road here. All the way down, both sides. Bam, bam. And then at 5:50 p.m., Upton gave them order to advance. This is on May the 10th, 1864, right? And they ran through the woods to the open field where they would be shot at and everything else. They'd be running through here, huh? Turn around here? Oh yeah, there's a monument right here. It says what? The regiments of Upton's regiments. That's the 6th Corps.
Bro, that's messed up. They didn't even say any of the...
Well, maybe that's on the other side.
Wait, Confederate mule shoe defenders. Ramsey,
Yeah.
Daniel, Dulles, and Walker.
Dulles. Yeah. Oh, Doles.
This is where they
So that would be part of Daniel's brigade, right? So he's going to be number 2.
Up there is...
Up where?
There's the rest of that field. So they would have charged up this.
They would have charged through these woods here at 5:50 p.m. on May the 10th, going straight over here across this and open fire to get to the earthworks, the Confederate earthworks. This ain't an easy charge. Look, that's not,
I mean,
it's not flat.
can't even see them.
They probably wouldn't be able to see anything right here. At what point do you think they'd see them coming?
I would have hid behind one of these trees.
Yeah, but who knows if this tree was even here? This is a field. I don't think that tree don't look like it's that old. Maybe that one over there though. That one looks a little bit fatter. Are you there?
Well, let's go over there.
We will. Well, we're going to drive it. We'll be coming out over there when we drive.
And there wasn't this path, right?
No, well, there was this road. Is what they called it. Upton's Road.
Do they do...
Obviously, it was named
do
after
they
him.
do reenactments here?
They do reenactments, yeah, in the wilderness in May. We were trying to come, but unfortunately we had a dance. So, yeah, and one of those companies we were looking at to get a part of, they fight here.
Okay. Why don't you start the 32nd North Carolina?
Well, you don't live in North Carolina. You have to move down there to do that.
What do you mean? I can't start a reenactment group?
I don't think you can start a North Carolina reenactment group from Maryland.
Yes, I can.
Come this way. We're not going that way.
So is this where it is?
Yeah. So Union were coming out of those woods. And
found
this
a
is where the
bullet.
Confederate line
So
was.
they
right here.
actually had some high ground here, huh?
They did.
I found a
yeah.
bullet.
So is this is the earthworks right here.
Mommy, I found a bullet.
This is where they were hiding, Easton. This is the earthworks, the Confederate earthworks. From that side, you really couldn't tell, could you?
But there wasn't any, like, stuff here. There was just, like...
Oh, look at this. Look how it comes in like that. I guess there had like one person, a couple people on each side. It's hard to tell.
It's all the way down there.
Yeah.
Wait, so
They said, how long was it? A mile?
so wait, for reenactments, do you think they like cut down this stuff?
I don't. No, probably not. Because if you get over here and you mess with it, you could, put machinery and stuff. You could really mess it up. Well, they'd be laying down, I'm sure, Ethan,
I know.
with their bellies. You want to lay there with your belly and let's see what.
No, I don't. It hurts.
Based on that picture, they showed they had built actually like a fence.
Did they? Oh yeah, they said that they had trees and stuff that they had put up in front of it.
Well, there's 2 ditches here. Look, there's one you can see.
Yeah, probably 2 lines. Ethan, this one has 2 ditches, Daddy noticed. They said they put trees and stuff up too.
That's really good.
Huh?
Pretty good defense.
Just before 6 p.m. on May 10th, 1864, 5,000 Union soldiers led by Colonel Emory Upton, formed in deep masses rather than traditional battle lines, emerged from the woods ahead of you and dashed across this field. They reached the main Confederate line here. Right here. They rode through these woods. Look how pretty that is with the trees and everything.
I'm gonna leave.
No. Leaping over the works, they began stabbing with bayonets and swinging their muskets like clubs. More than 900 Confederate prisoners and 4 cannon marked by the guns 80 yards to your left. There's guns down there. That's when we need to go to those guns. It says more than 900 Confederate prisoners and 4 cannon marked by the guns 80 yards to your left fell into their hands. The victorious Federals swept down the works, widening the breach, but no one had made arrangements to support the attack, and without more men, Upton could go no further. Meanwhile, in the fields behind you, Confederate marshaled troops to recapture the works. As daylight faded into darkness, Upton will be in for the fight of his life. So then they came across here.
Wait, so is this probably where Edmund was?
Yeah, somewhere in this area.
Do you think he was in the first line of fire?
No, because he's a colonel. He's going to be in the back.
So he came later?
So look, they had dug it out and then put up logs all the way around
Yeah. So
to make it deeper.
So he charged up right here, basically. My.
Yeah, so here, look, there's the hole he came out of.
Actually,
right here.
If you look here, these guys are kind of like down in the.
I would not want to be those guys.
No, God.
Remember, Ethan, it was right in spring, so everything's going to be green and big. So they came up through the road that came through here.
Seen them until they came out of the.
Here was the road that we came up, and it would have been through there, where they would have come.
Mommy, they even
There.
got the tree.
Yeah, is that the tree? You think that's the tree that was there?
I doubt those trees were there.
Some of them might have been like these ones right here. You want to go down there to the cannons?
Come here, Tao.
And then we'll go back. Oh, I forgot. The Confederate counterattack. Confederate General Richard S. Ewell, or Ewell, what is it? Responded quickly to Upton's breakthrough at Knowles Salient. Wading into the melee, he shouted to the outnumbered defenders, "Don't run, boys. I have enough men here in 5 minutes to eat up every damned one of them." Ewell was as good as his word. Within minutes, thousands of Confederate soldiers converged on this spot. Although initially successful, Upton's attack quickly turned into a fight for survival. Confederate lines coming across the fields behind you pressed now ragged Union lines. Without help, Upton's men could not hold out for long. As darkness settled over the battlefield, the Southerners drove Upton's men from the salient and recaptured the cannons they had lost earlier in the evening.
Well,
So Upton captured 950 Confederates in his initial charge, and Union soldiers hurried the prisoners to the rear under a heavy fire.
they like the Union here. So they're
Well, yeah. So you're saying that they're biased towards the Union? Here, let's walk down here and check out these cannons. Yes, come on,
You're the
Pooh.
one that wanted to see
You were
them.
headed that way anyway, Biff.
Yeah, you wanted to see the cannons and Daddy told you no, right? Come on. You run and see if you can get there before us. I bet you can't. Who's going to get there first?
You have to get them before me.
Here she comes. Oh, you better go. You better go. No pushing on each other. That's cheating. Well, he knows how to put on them burners when he wants to, right? He's like Rollo. He has to conserve his energy. Right?
He runs like
Look at these things. What, like a gazelle? Look at these earthworks. I mean, they were ready for them to come, huh?
How long were they here?
21, I mean, they were here before.
Right. So I don't know how long it took to do.
Well, if you got a whole bunch of men, you know,
Just pick a spot and dig your little spot.
yeah, just dig your little spot out. I mean, they came out through there, and the cannons were over here. They weren't pointing in the right direction, were they? I mean, yeah, this looks like a major digging, but if you just think about it, like as many people there are, they could have made fast.
In the spring it would have been wet, probably soil would have been nice.
Yeah, although they didn't have things like we had, so I don't know.
Probably some sort of shovel, but so you were getting your jacket completely filled.
For your safety, you must keep off of the cannons.
Yeah, they might backfire. Yeah, look, he goes all the way down there.
Would you want to be right behind the cannon, Ethan?
What?
Would you want to be right behind the cannon? On my phone, you really can't see like how deep these are. Doesn't really. Can't see the undulation of the land. Yeah, we are. All right, you want to go back to the car and finish up our tour?
Yeah, come on. Let's see who can run across the field the fastest. Watch out for the
No,
car.
no, hey, this field,
Yeah,
hey,
the field.
the field. Over here, Toe.
To the opening.
I'm not going. I'm just too cheap.
Watch out though, because
Well,
these little
there's
sticky
sticks.
things here.
You're gonna die.
Ready?
You running too? I'm not gonna run. Wrong way, Toe. That's Ethan. We came out down there. Toe, run that way. Torin. You gotta run towards the statue that's down there. You gotta get it, Ethan. Evan, go, Evan, go. Biscuit, I think you might have won if you ran the right way. Can't really see, but there's a ditch here. You want to read or me?
150 yards ahead of you is the Bloody Angle, perhaps the most hallowed sight on any Civil War battlefield. The Bloody Angle is a small bend in the Confederate works within a much larger Muleshoe salient, a huge outward bulge in the center of General Robert E. Lee's 6-mile-long defensive line. For 22 hours on May 12th and May 13th, 1864, combat raged here. Confederate troops created the Muleshoe on the night of May 8th, 1864, while attempting to weave together two lines of earthworks that ran at right angles to one another. Lee recognized that it was inherently weak, subject to converging fire from many directions. To bolster the line, he constructed stout trenches, fortifying them with upwards of 30 cannon. Even so, the salient remained as the most vulnerable point, a fact bloodily demonstrated on May 12, 1864.
And these are phrases. Sharpened branches like these obstructed the Union advance on the mule shoe salient. So it's shaped like a... Likely General Ulysses S. Grant recognized the mule shoe's weakness and made plans to exploit it. On May 12th, just after dawn, 20,000 men of General Winfield S. Hancock's 2nd Corps stormed across the field in front of you from left to right and swept over the Confederate works, capturing 3,000 men and 20 cannons. It was one of the most successful Union attacks of the Civil War. Capture of the mule shoe nearly cut the Army of the Northern Virginia in two, threatening its very existence. Lee counterattacked in a desperate attempt to regain the lost ground, or at least to buy time to build a new line close to 1,000 yards behind the outer line. For the rest of the day, both generals funneled every available man into the salient. Grant fought to win, Lee to survive. The result was the most violent, sustained combat in American history. The fighting on May 12th took place in a driving rain. This image shows reinforcements from the Union 6th Corps fighting from the ravine in front of you. Guys, they were fighting in this ravine in front of us, and it was driving rain on the 12th.
And this tree is right
Every
there.
Confederate realized the desperate situation, and every Union soldier knew what was involved. For a time, every soldier was a friend. The attack was fierce. Every soldier was a fiend. The attack was fierce and the resistant fanatical.
What were these guys doing? Shooting each other in the butts.
Thousands of troops covered the ground in front of and behind you. The Union battle lines extended for nearly half a mile. Fighting at the Mule Shoe Salient focused on a slight turn in the Confederate earthworks to your right front, known as the Bloody Angle. Right front, right there. The angle occupied a small knoll that commanded adjacent parts of the Confederate line. Whoever controlled the knoll controlled the salient. For 22 hours, Union and Confederate soldiers vied for possession of the angle, firing across the works or engaging in a grim hand-to-hand combat. During the battle, Union soldiers took over cover in the ravine in front of you. Time and again, they rushed forward to attack the angle, only to be beaten back. With each repulse, they left the ground between the ravine and the angle, strewn with hundreds of wounded and dying men, bodies piled up 3 or 4, even 5 deep, forming that one man described as a perfect rampart of the dead. By day's end, up to 17,000 men were killed, wounded, or captured. Most of within sight of you now are standing.
So captured is considered casualties?
No. But they're not part of the group. The
injured.
hill dropped abruptly to a branch a short ways in front of the breastworks. The Yanks could come up behind the hill and have a short distance to charge in the open. They massed under the protection of the hill and made a rush at us over their own dead and wounded.
Well, there was definitely a South Carolina crew over here. Marker there.
Go look.
Well, who's this one?
Probably a Union.
I don't know. It's got the...
Unless the Union were down in the pit.
That's what I'm saying. The Union were coming here and the Confederates were up here, so they had a bad... Union had a bad angle.
They always have a
That's
bad angle.
that's what they were saying. People all the way down there.
That's where the angle was, right?
Yeah.
Where the bridge is.
Yeah.
Anywhere you are
Yeah.
here is a bad angle.
I mean, this is a good spot because you're up high, but
If you were in tab, this would be the worst because you can't aim your guns down or up. So
you shoot into the ground.
no, you shoot forward basically.
Oh, it's Ohio.
Ohio.
It's gonna be better. No. I think it's. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, let's walk up to these ones over here where the Confederates were.
Let me see what year this was made. It's a tombstone.
Yeah, it's to all the people who died. It's who died here from.
It doesn't say. Why is this place?
Yeah, could you imagine like having to run up and down this, like, you know how our yard is sloped like this?
Yeah.
Could you imagine having to get up and down that fighting for your life, basically?
Carrying it, the gun is heavy.
Yeah, they resorted to using their bayonets because they were so close in battle.
If I was going up guys hill and there was people up there, I was cooked.
Yeah.
I was dead. Because my legs are tired after going halfway.
Yeah, you need to keep
It's
working
like-
on them
it's
legs,
like
boy.
3 acres going uphill. It's like vertical. It's like going up a wall. My balls, look. Your balls. Why are the New Yorkers doing this?
Well, you got to remember, they're not going to put up too many Confederates until much after.
Much after? 6 corps. That's just one regiment.
New Jersey.
This is
Right here. Yeah, so imagine as a Union soldier trying to drop here,
I would say behind that hill.
over here. Yeah, this terrain is really interesting.
Yeah,
It's very rolling. It's very high.
What is that? The compass?
Yeah. Oh, you know where everything is. I don't know why I did that.
That's South Carolina down there. Yeah, it's showing you where the
Hey, are we going to go down there? Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
I'm gonna go down that way.
We'll come back and see that.
Yeah, we'll walk that way and then back to the car. What does that say? Nothing?
Struggle for the bloody angle. For 22 hours, combat raged on the landscape in front of you. Although the fighting extended for half a mile, the battle focused on and became identified with a slight bend in the Confederate lines, known thereafter as the Bloody Angle. The fighting here consisted of sustained, close-range fire, punctuated by Union attempts to storm the Confederate works. So heavy was the rifle fire that a 22-inch oak tree... Listen, 22-inch oak tree was felled by the impact of the bullets alone.
This guy is here while there's a Union
Bodies
there.
piled up in the rain-filled trenches, the battle sometimes buried beneath the dead. The living sometimes buried beneath the dead. After the battle, men were found torn by dozens of bullets. One man had 11 bullets through the soles of his feet alone. That means he was already dead. Another was so mutilated that friends could only identify him by the unusual color of his beard. It was carnage on an unimaginable scale. The question became pretty plainly whether one was willing to meet death, not merely run to the chances of it. The Confederate earthworks. Here they are again.
They say don't walk on them.
Yeah, I'm sure they don't want to.
Yeah.
These modest mounds are all that remained of the Muleshill salient, once formidable earthworks. Begun by the Confederates on the night of May 8th, the works were 4 feet high with 2 foot deep trench. Dirt from the trench was thrown against the outer face of the logs to create a bulletproof barrier. As an added measure of safety, the defenders left a small gap beneath the top logs through which they could fire without exposing their heads. Because of the salient's curved shape, Confederates here were exposed not only to bullets coming from the front, but also from the sides. To protect themselves from enemy crossfire, they constructed a series of shorter barriers called traverses at right angles to the main line. Although the traverses have largely disappeared, evidence of them can still be seen in the rumpled contour of the ground. Maybe this little thing, these little things right here coming through.
It's probably like where that bridge is.
Yeah, maybe we'll say that. They had felled timber and constructed excellent earthwork, somewhat after the style of building a log house with earth, well thrown up in front. This line of fortification was divided off, therefore, like stalls in a stable, the compartments being formed by the timbers which supported the other timbers, which with the earth constituted a splendid protection for the men behind them. Lieutenant Harvard B. Wells. Something's in the woods.
Hello, guys.
Yeah. What do you think it is? See anything moving over there? Is it Edmund? Edmund's ghost walking towards us so he can tell us what really happened? What's it say, Ev?
It just shows. What was it? It's a sketch.
Huh?
Sketch of.
The toughest fight yet. Artist Alfred R. Wald sketched these Union soldiers under fire here on May 12, 1864. Lee counterattacks had driven the Union troops out of the Mule Shoe, and here they are shown under cover on the outside of the Confederate trenches. Wald's perspective was just a few feet from where you are now standing. Could you imagine standing here and doing a sketch?
Wait.
It's the most immediate depiction of the fighting near the Bloody Angle that day. Wald labeled his sketch the toughest fight yet. In the image, the fighting rages most intensely to the right, where the white smoke marks what would become known as the Bloody Angle. Amid the smoke stands a battle scarred oak, 22 inches in diameter, which would fall later in the day, cut down by small arms fire. In the foreground, the Union troops huddle up against the Confederate works amidst the carnage of the earlier fight.
Bullets. 22 inches too. You're talking a pretty good sized tree. Alright, let's get
They
on
must
to
be bad aims.
Let's get out of this last one and then head back.
So this is like right where we're...
The sharp turn of the Confederate works is called the East Angle. It marks the apex of the Mule Shoe salient and was one of the most vulnerable points on Lee's line. Lee fortified the place heavily and placed upwards of 30 cannons in and around the works here. But on the night of May 11th, fearing the Union Army was about to march south, he pulled those guns out of the line. For Lee, it was a rare and grave misjudgment. The Federals were not leaving Spotsylvania, but instead were moving into position to attack the Mule Shoe. General Edward Johnson ordered the guns back to their places, but they arrived just in time to be captured by swarming Union soldiers. 2 Confederate generals, including Johnson, 3,000 men, and 20 cannons fell into the Union hands and was the greatest disasters to ever befall Lee's army. In the dank pre-dawn light of May 12, 1864, Confederates huddled along these muddy works could hear the rumble of Union troops coming towards them. Moments later, the first of 20,000 Union soldiers poured over the works like a wave, engaging Federal defenders here in fierce hand-to-hand combat. Nearly 400 yards of the Confederate line fell into Union hands as the blue-clad masses surged even deeper into the salient. The Union breakthrough here threatened Lee's army, while Union troops pushed forward into the woods behind you. Lee scrambled to find the troops to resist them. He needed enough time to build a new line further to the rear. Well aware of the crisis, Confederate troops contested the Union advance, and then pushed it back, eventually recapturing the works near the Bloody Angle. For the rest of the day, they stubbornly held on, buying Lee the time he so desperately needed.
Oh, there's so many Confederate troops over here.
Confederate? Don't be mean to me.
That's what you said.
Yeah.
Confederate.
It just has a number on it.
What?
For your safety, keep off the earthworks so you don't break a leg. What is it?
I don't
Gentlemen.
I would have stayed in the woods.
That one's pretty new.
Yeah.
Let me see.
McGowan's Brigade.
And the rain and gloom make up.
What? Is he? Is he on there? Does that mean you didn't look?
I looked. And it's Tennessee.
Oh.
It's North Carolina.
Uh,
September 2001.
that's when it was put up.
9/11.
What's Dio Undice?
The Undice Beach.
Erected by the 30th North Carolina troops reactivated Charlotte, North Carolina. At dawn, May 12th, 1864, Union troops overwhelmed Major General Edward Johnson's division at the Muleshoe Salient Brigade. General Stephen Dodson Ramseur, North Carolina Brigade, counterattacked across these earthworks and by 7:30 a.m. regained the portion of the salient opposite this point for the next 20 hours. Ramseur's men held their ground on the face of determined Union assaults. The North Carolinians then withdrew to a new defensive line 1/2 mile to the rear. This gallant stand helped thwart the Union advance and save Lee's army from disaster. But this doesn't say this is the 30th, the 4th, the 2nd, and the 14th on this side.
Yeah.
Does the other side say something else?
No.
No, really? Oh man. Nobody put anything up for
Daniels Brigade.
Daniel's Brigade out here, huh?
Well,
Maybe it's down there.
maybe it's down there. And John.
Oh, guess what? I didn't even
John
record
was in
any of
the
that.
2nd North Carolina. Mama.
Yeah.
John was in the 2nd North Carolina.
Yeah.
He was with Ramsey.
Ramseur. So we're right here. Here's the McColl house
Let me go.
here. And on that side would have been all woods per this. Okay. And then over here, all this area right over here to the left of the house, if you're looking at the house right now, that right there, this is Upton's Road, which we came down earlier and came out into the open field, and all they lined up behind this tree line over here, behind the tree line, quietly lined up at 6 or 5:30 on May the 10th p.m. lined up behind the tree line quietly. And right along here, all the Confederates had built an earthworks here, and they came out down that ravine and up to them, and there was a lot of fighting through here. Somehow, somewhere, this is where Edmund died. And then out there in the field, that memorial here is the North Carolina troops, although it doesn't say the 32nd on it. And then
That's
back
Ram-
out over
that's
there where
Ramsey.
where that car is, that is where the earthworks are.
Well, that's Ramsey's brigade. That's right there. And that's
Ramshores.
where Edmund's brother was.
Oh, okay. I thought he was. And then we have.
Edmund's brother was in the second.
And then we have this Bloody Angles way up here. So this is where it all went down on the 10th. This is where Upton's army came through on the 10th. And then this is where the main battle
we had
happened
two
here on the 12th.
ancestors that were at Spotsylvania.
We did? Yeah, and they were brothers. All right, well, let's go because here's the house. Here's what it would have looked like.
What it looked like, this is what it looked
Or what it looked like. Oh, here's a burial place. 900 farms in Spotsylvania County. None would witness more death than Neil McCull's Union burials on the farm numbered 1,492.
Wait, is there a Spotsylvania
So this was the
cemetery?
home of farmer Neil McCull and his unmarried sisters, Mary, Eliza, and Millie. McCull's farm was typical of those that dotted Spotsylvania County. A few hundred acres that produced a modest income of corn and other grains. Like his neighbors, the Harrisons, McCull owned enslaved people, a circumstance common to more than half of Spotsylvania's residents. Around the house stood a kitchen and other outbuildings. Simple dirt roads connected the McCulls to their neighbors. The Harrisons to the south, the Landrums 3/4 mile north. Neil McCull was absent during the fighting here on May 1864, but his sister survived the battle by taking shelter in the basement of the house. When they emerged, they found a landscape dominated by death. Hey, Ethan! He wasn't here, but his sisters were here during the battle, and they hid in the basement.
This is where the shed was, I think.
You think that's where it was? Yeah, you're right. It would have been back there. And then, or the kitchen house. That might have been the kitchen house. And then a shed right here in front of the kitchen house. But this is a nice overview right here. I mean, he's just right in the shoe of it. So the shoe went around like that. But the difference. Died here. All right. Well,